Guys, thank you so much for joining me. Today I have our first recurring guest, Jason Soto. And I wanted to bring you on here. Well, first, how you doing, man?
I'm all right, man. Working hard, and this week I actually had a week off. My wife is going on her last chemotherapy session, so you know what I
That's awesome,
mean.
man.
Yeah, yeah, man. I'm super hype about that. No more chemotherapy for her, so on
Yeah.
to the next thing and what's going on next in life. You know what I'm saying?
And whatever we can do to support you, you let us know. Like, I don't know. I don't know what you guys need. GoFundMe stuff or anything, or just
Oh no,
prayers, or
man.
let me
Just
know.
prayers, man. I really appreciate y'all, man. All the prayers we can get. Absolutely, man. You know what I mean?
Dude, I love it. And well, for everyone listening, Jason knows. But the reason I brought you back on and the reason I wanted to have you here is like I want to know about your experience as, again, you don't see yourself as a stepdad. You don't see Rosalie as your stepdaughter. It's more like she's just another kid. She just came to you in a different way.
Absolutely.
I want to talk to you about that experience and like how you see things in that light. What was like what went through that? Just because there are dads out there who they're they feel the same way. I have This is my kid, this is my daughter, this is my son. It wasn't conventional ways, but this is they're my kid. It's not anything different. And I think even for people who are children of step parents, like seeing hearing your experience, I think would be pretty beneficial.
Mm.
And well, tell me what's like your happiest memory, like with Rosalia.
Um, I'll tell you, she's my firecracker, man. There's like never a dull moment with Rosalia.
Mhm.
She's just surprised me in a lot of ways. You know what I mean? And between from the first time I met her until now, when I met her, she was 4 years old. I mean, she was like three and a half, 4 years old.
Mhm.
This is a little tough cookie, man. You know what I'm saying? And she's coming from a home where it's just like it's just her. You know
Mhm.
what I mean? It's her mom and her aunt and her grandmother, and she's the only baby of the house. You know what I mean? So you can only imagine just where the level of her being spoiled was. You know what I'm saying?
Yes. No, I totally understand. With regard to like again, she's 4 years old. Like, what was your thought process? What were you thinking about when you met her mom? Like, oh wow, like she has a kid. And you had four of
Um,
your own before that.
right. I had three of my own at the time.
Hmm. Yes, yes, yes.
Because of how my father took in my brother and my sister.
Hmm.
I would always hear, in my household where it was my dad would always just like, when I met your mother, it was like a package deal. It was her and the two kids, you know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
And that was one thing that I've always respected my father about, you know what I mean? So being raised in that situation, you know what I mean? When I had the same situation with Rosalia, it was just like my immediate thought was, this is a package deal. You know what I'm
Hmm.
saying? Like, not only am I looking out for her mother, but I'm looking out for her child also. You know what I'm saying? So that was my thought process, like right from the beginning. You know what I mean? That I knew that when I got with her mother and things got serious, that like, this is my little girl. You couldn't tell me nothing. You know what I'm saying? So
And last time you mentioned like the experience with her dad. Like, what was so before we go there? Like, what was your thought process too, as a dad, as a man, knowing that her father, he was still like he's still alive, he's close by, like you had conversations with him. What was your thought process with him? Like, oh man, like I'm curious, did you think he was going to see you anyway? Did you think there was going to be any conflict?
um I kind of went into it thinking that it was gonna be a conflict. Um
Hmm.
just because you hear the stories, you know what I'm saying? Um and I took it for what it was. What I did promise myself was is that no matter how this situation was going to escalate or whatever the case may be, that I was always going to be the one to walk away from whatever was going to happen.
Mm,
You know, I would never want to, you know, ever want Rosalia to see me and her father being aggressive towards each other or, you know, any of that sort, because I mean, we're adults here. You know what I'm
mhm,
saying? So yeah, there was times where, you know, things got a little heated. I had to walk away. You know, some people don't parent. We don't. Some people parent, and some people don't. You know what I'm saying? So it was kind of tough for me to even be humble because just me personally, the people that I'm around that are in my circle, if you can't, you know what I mean, have if you have zero loyalty to your kids, um, who do you have loyalty to? You
mm,
know what I'm saying? And and those things they stick with me every day, you know, and every person that I was real close to me, they take care of their kids, they, you know, and people that I don't that that don't do those type of things, I try not to associate with them. I don't want them in my circle because like I said before, it's what if you don't have loyalty to your own flesh and blood, who do you have loyalty to?
mm,
You know. So to sit here and chat with this gentleman and be humble with this gentleman and you know, that was tough for me. You know what I'm
mhm,
saying? Because everything in me just was just like, bro, you're like, nah, man, what you're doing is unacceptable. It's not okay. You know what I mean? So for you to try to justify it with excuses that are just that can be fixed, you know.
mhm.
So
Yeah, I think
it's
yeah. Oh
so it's
no, you're saying.
definitely been this, yeah, it's definitely been this place where you know, I've you know, I'm a man, yo, and sometimes I look at this gentleman and I'm like, I just can't believe you, bro. You know what I'm saying? So like I said before, but I've always promised myself, I made a promise to myself that I would never, ever, ever let that gentleman get me to a place where he was going to get me out of character. You know what I'm
Mm,
saying? And another thing that I constantly always do, you know, no matter, even if him and the mom get into something, you know what I mean? I'm always the one to be like, hey, let's not talk about that now. You know, Rosalie is around. Only because all the decisions that you know that she's going to be making in life, whether she wants to associate with this gentleman, whether she doesn't want to associate with this gentleman. I don't want it to be because, oh, well, I heard mommy and Jay talking about this, or I heard mommy and Jay talking about, you know what I'm saying? I want
mhm,
all these decisions that she's going to be making on her own for it to be made just because solely from what she sees from her own eyes. You know what I'm saying?
mhm.
Not from what she's hearing because the mother's angry, not because she's hearing because the mother's boyfriend is upset at certain situations. You know what I'm saying? So these are things that I just don't ever talk bad about that gentleman at all when she's around. I don't really have much to say at all anyway. You know what I mean? But I definitely make it a point that, you know, no matter how I feel or how she feels, when Rosalie is around, that's just not a conversation at all.
Mm. I think that's so important because it's like, I mean, it's at the end of the day, her relationship with her dad is still her relationship with her dad, regardless
Exactly.
of her mom, regardless of you or anyone else. And it's like, at the end of the day, like I could easily imagine her saying like don't talk about my dad like that. Like same thing
Right.
like with mom.
Exactly.
So I love that well, not mutual, but like that respect that you have for him at home, especially as her dad, and not just for him, but also for her, like that respect that you have for Rosalia to like I respect you to not talk like that.
Well, you know, is the thing is, man, is just that I'm also a human being, man. And imagine
Mhm,
whether you be your cousin, your aunt, whatever it is, you don't even have to be your dad. You know, imagine somebody talking down on a family member that you love, right?
mhm,
And you just can't answer for that. You just have to sit there and take it. Like that's kind of tough to do, man. You know what I'm saying? That's
yeah.
kind of tough to do, and I would never ever want her to ever feel that experience. You know what I'm saying? And that's why I never do it. And I have my baby mothers too. You know what I mean?
Mhm,
And I just hope and pray that if you know I do whatever I need to do for them. But I'm sure there were times where they were upset with me and things were going south, and they were saying things that probably my kids wouldn't agree with. You know
mhm.
what I mean? It's just not a great situation for any kid to be in at all.
yeah, it's like it's an unfair tug of war that some people unfortunately, do use. Like, yeah, like let me, like you see it, you hear it at least with children of divorces, like, oh, like, what did your mom say about me, or what did your dad say about me?
Right, right.
I even remember, um there's a man that I spoke with. He was a dad, and he was like, yeah, like, I didn't get to see my kid, like, I lived out of the country. I didn't get to see my kids because, or not because, I thought their mom was was talking about me.
Right.
And like, even the opposite, he was like, yeah, like, her mom, their mom was afraid to bring them over to me because they thought I was gonna do, like take them away from her. And
Right,
it's
right.
crazy, like the fears that we have is like how they can dictate the things that we do and don't do. So I'm curious, like, for you, like, you mentioned this last time, but I wanted to treat this as if we've never spoken before.
Okay.
Um, what were the when you first, like, when you knew you were going to be in that child's life and you were going to be with her mom, like, what were the conversations you had with him? Like, did you see him, like, being present in her life?
He at the time would, very, seldomly, maybe every 60 days I'd probably see him,
Mm,
you know. And some of those weekends where she was her mom was my lady was working, at the time she was working like on call on the weekends,
mhm,
and unfortunately, he wasn't being that he was able to step to the plate and help out and say, maybe I'll take that time to spend time with her. You know what I'm saying? Well, there would be some of those times where I would drop her off to him, and her mom would call me maybe 2 hours later and say, "Oh, he said he's done with her, so go and pick her up." I cannot even imagine not seeing my kids for 60 to 90 days and it's finally getting them, and it's like 2 hours, and that's it. You
what did
know,
you see? Because again, like, I don't want to use this as like either a space to, like we're not talking down to people, any, because
no,
everyone
no,
does
not at
what
all,
they
not
do.
at
Yeah,
all.
yeah,
This is
The
solely like
reason,
my personal experience.
yeah,
You know what I'm saying?
because the reason I asked this too was, and the reason I asked it in that way, because I remember the answer you gave was, what did you see that meant for Rosalia? Like, how do you see that? Like, how did you see her when it was like, hey, I haven't seen my dad in 2 months, or when I do, like, now it's so, like, what were those conversations that maybe she may have had with you, or that you overheard with her and her mom?
Um, she would just ask questions. She would just ask like why he doesn't come around, or why he doesn't. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
Just everything a normal 4 or 5 year old kid would ask. You know what I mean? Almost placing blame on self. You know what I mean? Like,
Mm.
did I do something
Mm.
wrong? Type of thing. You know what I mean? And that's where it was like, that's where I kind of drew a line in my sand. And I said, all right, well, I'll have a talk with this gentleman because, you can make all the assumptions you want. You never know what another person is going through.
Yeah.
Never. You know what I'm saying? So I'm, me just being, a father that has, at the time had, two different baby mothers. And I'm like, man, I know this could be stressful. I know. And
Hmm.
especially if you're not making the funds, you're not, you know, we're so quick to say, hey, I don't have money, so I really can't spend time with them. You know what I'm saying? Because I really don't have this. And I've been there. I've been there. But I remember having a conversation with that man, and I said, you know, yo, man, she really misses you, bro, and she would like to spend time with you, man. And whatever I can do to help, you just let me know, man. Because and he's
Hmm.
just like, oh, I just can't get a ride sometimes. And I said, well, man, this is my schedule, bro, and I don't have a problem picking her up, bringing her to you. Whenever you're done, I'll come get her. You know what I mean? And then his next excuse was like, oh, some I just don't be having the money like that. And I'm like, cool. I said, listen, man, I'll put a little $20 in her pocket, bro. You have no idea these kids. Money burn a hole in their pocket, bro. So you don't even got to worry about her eating. She'll be ready to grab something herself to get something to eat. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
And he was like, oh, and it was just like another excuse. And I just looked at him and I just said, man, just honestly, bro, just tell me that you don't want to spend time with your daughter, man. Because I kind of wish I had what I'm asking, what I'm telling you, you know what I'm saying? I wish that when I was in that situation, I had somebody that said, hey, man, just because I'm with your kid's mother doesn't mean we have to be enemies. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
We could work this out. You know what I mean? If I can help you out, I can. If I can drop him off, I would. You know what I'm saying? So I kind of wish I had that. And so I guess that, I guess that was the reason that was my approach. Because I was like, you know, instead of me trying to add fuel to the fire, why not try to help the situation? You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Come at it from a different angle. You know, he's already thinking that I'm trying to be aggressive or wanting to be aggressive, and I'm just like, nah, that's not what I'm trying to do here, bro.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? You're her dad. Be her dad. You know what I'm saying? I'm not here to fill nobody's shoes. I'm Jay, and that's what she knows me by. Until this day, you know, I remember her sometimes slipping up and saying, Dad, Jay, and then she'll like pause. And I would look at her and I give her a hug and I say, hey, baby, you call me whatever you want to call me. You know what I'm saying? If you comfortable with Jay, then that's what it is. You know what I mean? And I've always stuck with that. So I've never, because I would never ever want my kids to call another man dad just out of the blue. You know
Mm-hmm.
what I'm saying? I feel like that title right there, that's earned, man. That's
Mm-hmm.
not something that, you know what I'm saying, just comes flying from out the air type of thing, you know? So you know, I've always just been me, bro. I just want to raise her and show her the right way and continue to do that, you know, even whether this gentleman wants to be a part of it or not. You know what I mean? And
I love that approach, and just like you can feel your sincerity, and just like not just sincerity, but it's also like this is what it is. Like this is who I am. This is how I show. This is how I choose to show up, and you're welcome to be part of that because
right.
you're part of my life. And I'm curious, like, all right, you had that conversation with him, and what has it been like raising her? Like, what has it been like having her in your life and you in her life?
I will tell you 1000% that raising somebody else's child is harder than raising your own. You know what I'm saying? See, there's a lot more to prove now. You
Mm,
know, your kids have known that your dad, mom from the beginning, you know, this dad, this mom. No matter how things go, I gotta respect them. You know, that's even
mhm,
us nowadays. You know what I'm saying? Like we talk to our family, our moms and our dads, and it's like we got this certain amount of respect where it's like, all right, well, we ain't passing this line. You know what I mean? Where when you have a stepchild, there ain't no line. You know what I'm saying? They're easy to tell you, hey man, you ain't my father. So,
mm,
you know, so yeah, it's been tough. You know what I mean? And now she's in her teens. You know, she's 13 years old, and but I will say that the older she gets, the easier it gets. You know what I mean? And I'm only speaking again from my perspective,
yeah.
you
Well,
know,
could you
because
elaborate that? Like, what do you mean by it? The easier it gets.
you know, when she was younger, it was like, you know, her dad wasn't there. So I was
Mm,
the only thing there, you know. So when I would say something to her, it was like Jay was the worst, you
mhm,
know. Even the simplest things, Rosalia, clean your room. Da, 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 and it would be like an argument, you know what I'm saying?
mhm,
You're not my father. You don't have to think. You can't tell me what to do and this, and that. So, you know, again, you got to show up. You know, imagine if I would have folded that day. You know what? You're right. Not your kid, not your father. And I'm not going to deal with this type of attitude. And I'm not, you know what I mean? So it's always an experience. You know what I mean? But I've noticed that talking to her helps a lot. You know, when she's at her angriest, when she's not, you know, I could notice when she's moving different, you know.
mhm,
And that one, you know, just sit down, walk in the room and say, hey, what's going on? You know, because she's already thinking I'm gonna come at her like, oh, here he go again. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
And I just noticed her sitting there talking to her and just letting her know, hey, what's going on? I understand you angry. We can't waste too much time on why you angry. Let's figure out how we're gonna fix the solution. We're gonna figure this out. You know, but just being there for her, man, that plays a big factor in it. Because I mean, again, I don't want to spend time like really pointing this finger at this dude, but like again, like I'm the male figure in her life.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And me showing her how I am with her mother, not only teaches her how she should be treated, you know, but I'm also there like, yo, you should never settle for less. You know what I'm saying?
Mm.
You should always be respected, always. You know what I mean? So I'll tell you, man, it's hard raising somebody else's kid, man.
Yeah, and I love what you said, and just to like, so I understand because I don't want to assume anything is like yeah, in the beginning, yeah, of course, when they're a kid, or even when you're first introduced into their life, like there's a lot of resistance there, and it's like you're someone else, and as you earn that trust and like earn that relationship, it sounds like it's getting easier as she gets older because one, she's seen that you've chosen, she's seen that you're not there like out of obligation, like she sees like you're here because you want to be here, and not just like
Right.
here in their relationship with her mom, but like here in a relationship with her, like it's another thing. And it sounds like again like you showing and you just being a dad with her, like let me see how she's feeling, she seems like she's off
Mm,
today, let me check in with her. Seems like
right.
that trust, it sounds like it's made these years easier.
It
Would you say,
definitely,
do you mean easier than when she was younger, or do you mean easier than your other biological kids who were becoming teenagers?
well, easier when she was younger,
Oh, okay. Yeah,
because
that's what I was like, oh, I never heard it easy raising teenage daughters.
oh
That's what I was
no,
clarifying. Yeah.
that's a whole nother like thing in itself. But yeah, man, it's her us me being able to communicate with her has definitely opened up this like door where we're more, we chat a lot more. You know what I mean? I remember I would put her in the car and she would barely say nothing to me. I would ask her questions. Hey, how was your day, honey? It was okay. And I was like, the end of that. Everything was like a one word
Yeah.
answer,
I remember that. I would do that too.
where where now it's just like a full blown conversation. Like I can, just the other day I took her, to get her braces straightened up and all that. And it felt like we were riding back home and me and her were just conversating about just a little bit of everything, you know what I mean? And I was able to make her laugh. And, you know, it's those little moments, man. Those little moments, man. You know, I don't, I don't claim to be the best father, and I don't think I'll ever will be because, like I told you before, I'm always feeling like feeling like I'm playing catch up.
Hmm.
But as long as I can keep them smiling, man, and let them know forever that I'll be here forever. As long as I'm on this earth, they'll need for nothing. You know,
What would you do? Like, let's say we could go back in time.
hmm
What would you do the same with Rosalie, raising her or being there for her?
what would I?
What would you do the
What would
same?
I? Hmm. I think we got stumbled on this question last time too. What would I do the same? I think I'll tell you the same thing I told you before. I don't think I'll change it, man. Just the
Mm.
way, just the way it is now. You know what I mean? I would do everything the same. I at that point, at this point, I have earned this type of respect from Rosalia that you know, I'm the guy she counts on. You know, I need this, I'm gonna call Jay. I'm gonna take care of this, I gotta call Jay. You know, so I think everything, if I would do it all over again, everything would be this exact same, man. So,
Is there anything that you think you would do differently?
um, no, I don't think I'll do anything differently.
Nice.
I think that you gotta go. I think with everything you do, you got to go through the mud first.
Mm.
You know what I'm saying? You got to go through the mud. You got to go through the hurt. You got to go through the, everything that comes with it before that flourishes to something nice. You know what I'm saying? So I don't think making changes ever changes anything. You know what I'm saying? I think everything is the way it's supposed to be because that's that route. You
Mhm.
got to take that route. You know what I'm saying? And if you don't take
Yeah,
that route,
yeah.
if you don't
It's like
take that
again,
route,
hindsight. Like hindsight is a jerk. We could look back and like,
right,
okay, but I can't
right.
do anything different. Wish I knew that now or then. Um, is there anything that you want Rosalia to know, as she grows, into her teenage years, a young woman, like whatever she has in her future? Like, is there anything you want her to know as she grows in this life?
Um, I just want her to know that she doesn't have to carry my last name for her to be my daughter. She doesn't have to call me dad for her to be my daughter. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna be here forever. You know what I'm saying? And she'll never, ever, ever go without anything while I'm here. You know what I'm saying? That doesn't even mean financially. That just means whether it's a hug, you know, a shoulder to cry on, an ear, whatever it is that I could be for you, that's what I'm gonna be. You know, I've never treated her any different than my biological kid. You
Hmm.
know, I've always, and even to this day, I'm like, that's my daughter. I don't care how anybody feels about it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So if I can tell her something right now, is that the same way it's been from the first day I met her till now. I've been here every day, and that will never change.
Is there any are there any like again, it seems like to me like you don't really like aside from how she came into your life, there doesn't seem to be a difference with how you see her with any of your other kids. I'm curious, is
Mm.
there anything that you hope for her to experience? Being that she's like again, she came like she's your stepdaughter. Like, is there anything that you hope for her to have like in her relationship with you?
Um, I just hope that it continues to get better. To be honest with you, you know what I mean. We're still in this place. You know what I'm saying? Where believe it or not, we're still in this, back and forth type of thing. You know what I mean? Because of just how things are with her dad. You know what I
Mm,
mean? So I think she finds herself in the middle sometimes. You know what I'm saying?
mm,
Where like who's who type of thing. So I always stay true. You know what I mean? And like I've said on your podcast before, is being consistent and being there, man. You know what I mean? Being consistent, being there, keep showing her that they ain't never gonna switch up on her. You know what I'm saying?
mhm. What would you like her to know if you could just tell her, like again, like she feels like she's in the middle, there's this back and forth. What would you like her to know?
That there's um there's no reason to be in the middle because there's no back to me. I look at this situation, I say there ain't no back and forth. You know what I mean? I'm not here to prove that I'm better than anybody else. I'm just doing what I should be doing. You know what I mean? So this whole like her feeling like, oh, that's my dad, Jay does this for me, or I just want that feeling to go away. You know what I
Mm,
mean? I want her to like not even have that feeling at all. I'm always gonna be here. Whatever your dad chooses to do, then let him choose whatever he's gonna choose out of that. You know what I mean? I'm not here trying to make myself look better than him, or this isn't a competition to me. You know what I mean? By no means is this a competition for me. This is just me being a dad. That's all. You know. So if I could tell her something that I would just want her to, just not have to even think about that. You know.
mm. how would you want her to see her dad?
I honestly, I wish that they had the greatest relationship ever. I wish that she can pick up the phone and he would show up at my door 15 minutes later to come and pick up his baby girl, man. You know what I'm saying? Or she can call him and he can walk in my door and me and him can sit down in my living room and have a conversation like two grown men, and she can go and spend time with her father, and that'll be that. You know what I'm saying? I don't I wish that he would just step up to the plate, man. You know what I mean? Because like time waits for no one, man. Time waits for no one. And I know, she was 4 when I met her.
Hmm.
My baby's about to go into high school next year. So
Yeah, 10 years flies by very quickly. And even though that, like, again, we don't control people. We can't tell people what to do or can't do or change how someone feels. I'm curious, if nothing did change with her and her dad, what would you want her to know?
what would I want her to know?
Yeah.
That that you're beautiful, you're great, no matter whether he wants to be a part of it or not. It doesn't, don't let that be a wall in your life and stop your accomplishments, and you know what I mean? Have something tugging back at you. And I'm always gonna be here. I don't that situation for her, I'm sure it's tough, man. It's a tough situation.
Yeah. It's tough. Like, the more and more like I speak to other guys about this, and just like the more like I explore this stuff, it's like there are people who want to and people who don't really want to, like not interested in being a dad. And there's also a
Mhm.
timing thing. Like I think we spoke last time, like when you were 18, I believe, like that's when you had your first kid, or 17. It's like at, that person was much different than the person that you are now. I just
Right.
spoke with the gentleman. He didn't even know that he wanted a kid. And like when his kid was born, he was like, wow, like I did not know I wanted this. And I cannot imagine my life without it now. And
Yeah.
it's like it's a weird, again, I don't know if this is the truth or I don't know what this is, but it's like there's some people who want to be a dad, there's some people who don't want to be a dad. It just
Mm.
is what it is. The issue is, of course, the kid. Like, how do you resonate with, like, how do you resolve that? And to me, my thing is like, how can you be okay with that? Like that's something to explore. How can you be in love with that opportunity
I
regardless of
guess like to me it's like either you're all in or you're all out. You know, false hopes, giving them false hopes, coming in every once in a blue moon, like that's not okay, man. You know what I'm
Oh, I
saying?
totally agree. It's you're either hot or cold. If you're lukewarm,
Right.
I want to spit you out. And it's like that
Right.
thing. It's like, but at the end of the day, people are going back and forth because it's like I should do this, but I don't want to do this. Like I should do this, and I don't want people to see me this way, so I guess I'll do this. But at the same time, I don't want, like, it's like
Right.
just pick something and go
Yeah,
there. And
it's definitely a ruthless cycle, man. You know what I mean? It's a ruthless cycle, but the only ones that suffer from that are the little ones.
yeah, and I think it's, again, it's like at the end of the day with coaching, what I've learned is like, again, when it comes to forgiveness, for example, like you can forgive someone without them being in the room, or without them acknowledging, or without them even being alive anymore. We've seen that with like
Mm,
forgiving parents who passed away. And it's like, the way that I see it is, or the way that I've experienced it too, is like, how can I be healed in love and know that I'm good, despite what everyone else is saying or doing,
mhm.
despite whether Jay is here or not. Like, I know that I'm loved, I know that I'm
Right.
beautiful, I know that I'm taken care of. Like, despite him not being here, despite it all, how do I know? I think that's a skill, that's something to, not just the skill, but that's a place to go to. I think it's
Right.
available for everyone. It's just, again, like, we're emotional creatures, man. It's
Yeah, man.
easier said than done. It's just
This is
the work
probably
is
the
hard.
most this is probably the most I've ever, even talked about this gentleman, because, to me, it's just, these are just all things that are in my mind, you know what I mean, that
Yeah.
I ask myself all the time. And, I do my best to like not even have a conversation about that gentleman at all,
Mhm.
and we do pretty well. Sometimes she gets frustrated with him, but not Rosalia, but her mom,
Mhm.
sometimes she gets frustrated, and even then, hey, I'm not involved. You know what I'm saying? I'm just gonna keep playing my part, be here for Rosalia. That's it.
Yeah, and I think like definitely for someone who's been not I'm not I wasn't in that experience either, but it's like for those who are in that experience, it's like it's when your dad doesn't call you on your birthday, like that's a tough thing to kind of experience.
Oh yeah,
Or when he misses it,
absolutely.
or when it's every couple weeks, like that hurts. It's like, okay, but not but it happened. Where do you want to go from there? And
Yep.
my question to you is, what is some advice that you have for maybe the kids who didn't have dad around? Maybe the Rosalias in the world who are either Rosalia's age, or maybe they're older, and maybe they're your age, they're my age. Like, what would you like them to know?
That you're absolutely loved by somebody. Believe that. Somebody loves you very much. You know what I'm saying? And I know that them phone calls, them missed phone calls, those are tough phone calls to miss. You know what I'm saying? The not getting the phone calls on your birthday, and then, those are big events in your life. You know what I'm saying? But you also,
Mhm.
when you're sitting there thinking about those times that you didn't get that phone call, also think about the times when you didn't get that phone call, who was standing right beside you when you didn't get that phone call.
Mm.
You know what I'm saying? Who was there celebrating your birthday? Who was, you know what I mean? Think about those times. Because I know it's tough, your dad ain't around, and I can never say that I fully experienced it. You know what I mean? Because I didn't. So it's hard for me to, give somebody advice on something that I've never experienced. But if there's one thing I do know is that you didn't make it. You didn't make it as far as you made it without somebody loving you, man. You know what I'm saying? So when you didn't get that phone call, just think back at that time, and think about who was standing right beside you, or who made that day special for you.
Mm.
You know what I'm saying? And take that energy and start spilling that love into that.
For the men who maybe they're doing the things that Rosalia's dad are doing. Maybe they're just not around. Maybe they're just not present. Maybe they don't see them as often. Maybe they miss the phone. They miss those big moments and forget to call or forget to show up. But for them, they want to be there. Maybe it's the guilt. Maybe it's feeling ashamed of themselves. Maybe it's all the stories that they're telling in their head of why they shouldn't be in this person's life, because they'd be better off without them, or that they're not good. Like, what is some advice that you would tell them?
Show up, man. It's never too late. It's never too late, man. But understand, when you show up, you got to deal with the backlash of the past. You know, if you if you really want to be there, you have to understand that there's gonna be some type of resentment there. And this now, it don't come easy no more. Now you gotta earn it.
Mm.
You know what I'm saying? And the only way you could do that is time. And yeah, you're not gonna be able to show up at the front door every day. You're not gonna be able to do that, because let's be real. A real man that's taking care of his family and taking care of whatever he's got going on in his life that he's got going on, right, time is very short, you know? But you still can make a phone call. You still can send a text message. It takes nothing to make a 3-minute phone call and say, hey, man, I'm thinking about you. I love you. I'm just busy right now. I'm caught up, but I promise, you know what I mean? We'll get together and we'll make it right. You know what I'm saying? And when you do get that time, or get that space, or that block in that kid's life, man, show up, man. don't make these arrangements and not show up.
Mm.
You know what I'm saying? Because we see that too often too. Yeah, I'll be there on Friday to pick you up. Best believe that little girl or that little boy, he at that window, he waiting. You know what I'm saying? He's excited. You know what I mean? So if you going, don't be half in and half out. If you going, it's either all the way in or all the way out. You know, don't just show up sporadically here and there, and then want the title of dad. You know what I'm saying? So
Mm.
if you're in that situation where you've lost time, hey man, that's okay, because as men, you know, you don't really grow into a man until you're able to say, hey, I'm wrong. I'm sorry. You know what I'm saying? I'm sorry. I apologize. And then accept the backlash that comes with it. And then try to fix tomorrow because yesterday's gone.
For the, I mean, I don't know if they're listening to this, but for the moms who are kind of going through this, maybe they're, you know, they're obviously every mom feels for this for their kid. And
Mhm.
what is something that you would like them to know?
First and foremost, you ladies are super women. For real. It is not, you know, right now I'm going through a situation with my lady and she has cancer, whatever the case may be. But now I have to pick up, you know, the things that she can't do. And let me tell you, gentlemen, it ain't easy being a full-time mother. I will tell you that. You know what I'm saying? It's not easy. So first off, I'm gonna say that you women are super women, and big kudos to the women that do it on their own. But if you have that child's father that's trying to be a part of it, and sometimes he may not have all the funds, you know what I'm saying? Give that man a chance, especially if you see he's really, really trying, you know, because I've been there too. I've been the guy that, you know, I'm supporting financially. I'm supporting, you know, just being there for them. At this point, I'm their dad when they need something. But when I need to do regular conversation or regular, hey, you know, I just want to pick them up real quick, and they say, oh well, you know, I'm busy. And then I'll talk to my kids 2 days later. Hey man, so what happened with you and mom? Y'all went out or something? You know what I mean? Oh, we didn't do anything. We stayed home. You know, so it was like you just blatantly just not letting me get my kids for whatever reasons. You know what I mean? So don't. I guess what I'm trying to say by that is don't let your personal feelings get in the way of your child spending time with their father, especially if he's really trying.
And, you know, just in case you haven't said anything enough, but what is something you would like to tell Rosalia?
Um, I want to tell Rosalia that I love you forever, and you can count on me forever. Not just now, not when you were just 4. You can count on me when you're 44. You know what I mean? And I love you to death. You are no different than Liliana or Man or Isaiah. You know, to me, they're all the same. You're all the same to me, and I love you guys to death.
Jason, thank you so much, man. I think oh, this hit close to home in so many different ways. Thank you, brother.
Nah, thank you, man. I really love kicking it with you, bro. It's really been a pleasure being on here. Not once, first person to come on 2 times. Y'all
Yes,
heard it
sir.
two
Back to
times.
back.
But absolutely, man. What you're doing is great here, bro. I really not only I appreciate this. I'm sure that there's a bunch of gentlemen that, you know what I'm saying, that are hearing this conversation or maybe even hearing my brother's conversation, just trying to, you know, maybe you going through that situation right now. You know, this platform right here. This is awesome, bro. You're doing a great job, man.
Thank you. Hey, thank you for being a dad who's on here and
Thanks,
telling his
bro.
experience. Would not be possible without you.
Thanks, man. You everybody have a great night. You have a great night, my brother, and we will definitely get together soon, man.